Marshall Malone here. Um, it's like 12:30. What time is it? Almost 1 o'clock. In the morning, Friday morning, and I can't sleep, so thought I'd get on the live stream a little bit. I'm live streaming to Facebook, not Facebook. No, it looks like Twitch and YouTube right now, as well as Instagram vertically. Show you for you watching on YouTube. It's on vertical. Um, yeah. So it's weird. I had one of those weird nights. Like I went out after work and had drinks and fell asleep pretty early. Um, Probably around. I started falling asleep around 9, um, and then I woke up at 11:30. Couldn't go back to sleep, and here I am, 12:45 a.m. live streaming. Today, I don't really have like anything I want to talk about, but I do want to I guess I want to talk. See, I can't even think straight. Why am I doing this? Why am I live streaming if I can't think straight? I have my website open right here, and I'm going to go through it, and I don't know how this is going to look on mobile, um, because it's a my website is kind of like in a widescreen format. I'm going to pull it up here. Yeah, the words are really, really small on mobile, but whatever. I'm not really worried about reading any of it. And this is the homepage. It's just kind of a snapshot of the last 10 years of my career or so. Um, and my portfolio, it looks different on mobile. This is, like I said, this is like the desktop view. Um, I wanted to go over like pretty much all of my content that I've created, mostly because I don't think people are aware of what I've done because I don't promote myself enough, I guess. Um, I've kind of come to the conclusion that my biggest downfall is that I'm too humble. So to counteract that, I may become a little more arrogant, um, in order to try and right some wrongs, if you will. All right, so this is my podcast page. I had a level 40 podcast that I had started. I mean, I ideated this like over a year ago as I was approaching 40. And I was like, what can I do podcast wise that would be something I could do on my own? Because I've done several podcasts since like 2017. And the problem with that is like learning how to do a podcast, great. You start doing it, having that consistency because of one reason or another has always been difficult in the sense that when you work with other people, you kind of have to work on their timelines. And when you're the person that knows all the ropes behind the scenes, then it kind of falls on you for the distribution. And when I first started doing podcasts, like I think I started learning in 2016, but I really didn't publish a podcast the proper way until 2017. I learned how to distribute it, and everything. So that was always kind of a hurdle for me. This Level 40 podcast was something that I wanted to start doing multiple times throughout this year, where I just interview people that are getting close to the age of 40 or at 40 or just past 40. I'm 41 now, so I came up with this idea before I turned 40, and I still haven't launched it, or right after I turned 40. So I'm quite behind on that. And you say the launch date says it's supposed to be out, but it's not. I've gotten episodes recorded. I had like 10 guests. I think I have a website up for guest signups still, and I believe when I last checked the forum, I had like 14 new forums. So there's things I have to go and look and review. Um, Another podcast, Rotos podcast. I'll actually open up one of the episodes. This was a lot of fun, and this is something I would like to bring back. We did 14 episodes. The last final episode is me. These are just the audio versions. There's actually video as well. This was a big production that I did last year on my own, and
You're
it was a
listening to the
three-camera
Los
shoot.
Rotos podcast with Vanessa Scaduto. Produced by Upside Down Creative Media. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Los Rotos podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Scaduto. Today I have my guest here, Jamal.
We did 13 episodes with other comics, and then we had me on the last episode. I haven't published that yet. I may get around to doing it. I had to do some editing because there was some. It's funny to look back over a year ago at what I was pissed off about, and now I'm probably still pissed off about it. Being pissed is my baseline. Bold City Sports Talk, 10 episodes. This could have gone on forever, and in a way, it kind of did. But this was my partner Rob Masio's first attempt at a podcast, besides some of the stuff that he and I had done. But he wanted to do just sports talk, and it started out with him alone, and then he started pulling people in, and it was pretty good. But it just didn't.
Just the quarterbacks.
It was another situation where we I think we started splitting around the time we stopped doing these episodes. Well, it was 2019. I don't really remember why we stopped doing it, but it ended after 10 episodes. And then I've got a Laugh Mountain comedy podcast, which went 2 episodes, and one of another comedy podcast. This Laugh Mountain comedy was our attempt. We started, so Upside Down Creative Media is the media company that I started. I say it in quotes because there's a long story. 10 years ago or so, I was working at Fanatics. I'm actually wearing an old Fanatics shirt. It's got a hole in it. Rob and I worked together. He was a copywriter. I was a photographer, and I think transitioning into SEO at the time. I can't remember the timeline, but he and I were talking about doing comedy sketches because I had started doing some comedy sketches. We both actually started around the same time in around 2008. We didn't know each other until 2013 or 2012, something like that. So 4 years prior, we had both started our own productions of YouTube videos. And this was back in 2008, which was 15 years ago. We kind of started sharing each other's stuff, and it became very clear that I was the more highly established producer in sense that I had more skills with cameras and editing and everything like that. So we decided to create Upside Down Creative Media, which was essentially, it was kind of like this weird, I've always had this double way of thinking of things because I see the world in a way that I don't see black and white. Everything's very gray. And so when I say Upside Down Creative Media, one part of me says it's a joke because at the time of our lives, then we thought the world was upside down and things were just weird, and the job that we had was weird. And so we called it Upside Down Creative Media as an homage to that. But then it was kind of this kind of not serious approach to starting a comedy group with a parody of a media company. But in the back of my head, I saw dollar signs because I knew, and I think around that time is when monetization started coming into play. And I think at the time I was a YouTube partner. They used to open it up to anybody with a certain amount of followers. It's changed over time. I'm still a partner now on my channel. But yeah, anyways, I'm jumping around way too much. So the point is, we started that 10 years ago. Laugh Mountain Comedy was something we started. When did this podcast come out? 2017 was the first episode. I think in 2017 is when we started thinking, okay, we've been doing Upside Down Creative Media for 5 years. We're not growing. At that point, we had 300 followers or something. I don't remember. It was very small, and we were doing really high-level content. We were winning awards locally, left and right, just like kicking ass. And we could not match that success on YouTube. We would see spikes in our views of like 3,000 views in a day, and then it would die completely. we would see things like we would go and comment on other people's content and people that we knew, and then they would say they didn't see it, or I had a friend actually make a video showing me that he can't see my comment, and I would basically, I think we screen shared each other and showed like, hey, this is what I did, why can't you see it? And he would show his and it didn't show it. And so we'd kind of essentially come up with the assumption that we'd been blacklisted for some of the content that we've done. We've done like a lot of politically incorrect comedy, and because I kind of always approach comedy knowing that I was going to offend somebody. Anyways, so Laugh Mountain Comedy came out of that. We said we need to rebrand, and we're going to start doing content under this umbrella, create a whole new YouTube channel, and all of this other stuff. And at that time, we probably created hundreds and hundreds of sketches, and we had established sort of a tone and absurdity and nihilism and all of these things that we had kind of built over 5 years. And I didn't want to walk away with it. It's like if you go back and watch some of my old, like even on my other YouTube channels, like I would talk about it, like I was struggling because I didn't want to walk away from Unscripted Media. I really believed in it. And I just kept thinking, if I push and push and push, it'll eventually be something. And all of this work that we're not getting paid for now, it'll turn into something, right? It hasn't yet. I'm making money on YouTube, but not like, I'm not living off of it. It's not my full-time job. So Laugh Mountain Comedy came out of that. Another comedy podcast. This was one of the first podcasts that I did with Rob. And this was 2017. I said, I'm just going to call it another comedy podcast. I literally like took this picture that you see is just a picture of our setup. We were sitting actually with these windows behind us, and I just had a mixer, and it was a very simple setup and a laptop. And this is how a lot of people do podcasts now. It was very low budget. I remember the stands we had were like probably 3 feet high. So we had to like hunch over to get our mouths up. We didn't have like a budget. Well, I still don't have a budget, but anyways, it was a first attempt. And we did one and published it, and then I started doing on the marketing for it, and we kind of did it backwards. Like we were just trying to rush it out. And I started doing research on names after the fact that I had titled it and registered everything, and there was already another comedy podcast. So the title had already been taken. So we ditched it. Anyways, so yeah, podcasts. I do a lot of podcasts. I say a lot, but I've attempted it a lot of times over the years. I just never stuck with it because it was just one area of content that I was producing. So if you go into my portfolio, it drops down and shows podcast, video, SEO, photography, web design, and music. There's a lot of things that I've done over the years. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but music, I'll say music. Well, music wasn't the first. Web design was technically my first foray into anything creative. I actually, do I have a link to my first website? I don't think I do. My first website can be found on Wayback Machine. It was first published in 99, I believe. And the domain was net3.8m.com. Don't know why I had that domain. I believe it was probably a free domain, and I just used it and built my website on it. But things were much different back then. I used to build in Front Page Express, which is essentially like, if you think about what Adobe Dreamweaver is, this was Microsoft's version of that. It's expired. They don't even make it anymore. But that shows like how old I am. I'm 41, but I was doing this stuff in high school. I was building websites in high school. My first website was not actually in 99. The one that you can actually still see on the Wayback Machine is from 99, and I ran it through 2003, I think. And it was essentially kind of like this website, but at the time I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I didn't have a lot history. So I was basically just using it as a journal and like kind of like a robust MySpace profile or Facebook profile. I would like to actually see if I can pull that up while I'm here. So let's go to Wayback Machine and then see if we can pull it up. Just to kind of give people an idea. net3.8m.net. Yeah, it was .net. All right. So the snapshots only go back to 2005. This large snapshot here, I'm going to go to February 2006. Yeah, 2006. Oh gosh, and this is it. I mean, it brings back memories. It's not showing everything, but it's funny because all of these little images with links, I created these in Photoshop, I believe. But here we go. Oh God, I'm kind of embarrassed to read. I'm glad on Instagram this is very small. You can see the full screen design. It's stretched it to the ends of the screen. Probably, I'm assuming back then the monitors were square, and so this kind of squished together a little bit better. It probably looked a lot better back then. The font is very small. This is an update from 2004, 11:04 a.m. It says, "This is the first update in over 3 months. I have been very busy with work and trying to live my life. I'm still considering the Air Force, but more than likely, I'm going to go back to school in the spring. I added new pics and updated my music page to see what I've really been up to, then check out my Live Journal." Live Journal was a website that you could just journal on. And so I used to also journal on there. That was more of my interior thoughts that I was putting out there. So it's funny to look back that was 2004. This was when I dropped out of school for a small period of time because I struggled a little bit in my sophomore, junior year of college and wasn't sure that I didn't want to be a teacher. I went to school to be a teacher and was basically, what am I doing? I don't want to do this, and I put so much time into it that I was just kind of at a crossroads. I started trying to join the Air Force, and I think a little bit after that I got married and went back to school, and the Air Force thing kind of went to the side because I got married and she went into the Air Force, and then we moved to California together and divorced. I don't want to go into that, but I was still in school all the whole time, part-time, and it took forever to get through school. But it's just funny to think, I was doing this stuff back then, but music was my actual, let's see if this will work. Yeah, so I had some of my original music on here. I don't know if any of these I still own, have the content for. Some of these titles, yes, I do have this. I'm pretty sure I have this one, Digital Rage. So my first song, intro, dance tech. I don't know what I was doing with these titles, Sonic Techno. I don't have these anymore. And so it's funny to think back. This was 2005, the snapshot, but this music I created back in 2001 or so. We used to publish music on a forum owned by Sony, I believe. So people would go on and just upload all of their music and share them in the forums, and people would talk about it. And you could listen to other people's stuff. But this was kind of my hobby back then. I learned how to make music. It wasn't good, but I will play some actually. Just if you listen to the song at the beginning of the stream, it was a song that I created, I think probably 12 years ago. But yeah, that's I'm wondering what else I can show you. Let's see if what is this? Bio. There's my bio. I'm not going to read this. This is embarrassing. I was just putting all this information out there, nothing. And I had links. Some of my favorite links. Sigma Nu Fraternity Incorporated. I was part of Sigma Nu while I was at school. Yeah, it's a long story. Columbia House, the DVD. Why am I linking to Columbia House? A lot of car audio websites I used to like. Auto Trader. This is so dumb. This is so funny and dumb. collegehumor.com. Anyways, a little bit about me. Major nerd. And then I have a gallery on here. I wonder if the pictures will show. Oh my gosh. There's 3 pictures. No, 4 pictures. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say. These pictures, well, for whatever reason, they're all in black and white. It must have been a phase. They look like they were scans of film pictures. This was me in college. I don't know what to say. It's pretty funny because I haven't seen this in so long. But nonetheless, it still exists in the Wayback gallery. So yeah, my content creation goes pretty far back. I would say web design was my first foray into the creative world. And that's over 20 years ago, 23, 24, 25 years ago. So back into my portfolio, music was really right around that time too. And I have a music page that has tons of music, some really bad. I don't know. It's all like electronic instrumentals. Some of it's really goofy sounding. Some of it's okay. This was actually a rap album that we created, me and my partner, Rob. I'm actually really proud of it because I don't want to go into the story around it. He wasn't really a rapper. You'd had to follow our documentary that started in 2009 to really understand what we were going for. But yeah, just tons of music on here. I don't want to play any of it right now. I did a lot of remixes during the pandemic, which were really funny. I have videos to them as well. And they did pretty well on YouTube, actually. Like some of them getting like 250,000 views. So we've got video, which is a huge category for me. Because obviously, if I'm going down the line, music was really my like thing for a long time. I really, outside of like going to school to be a teacher, I thought I was going to be a musician, like a DJ before there were emerging artists like that. There was like a few that were like Moby, electronic digital artists. It was very rare and almost frowned upon, which is part of the reason I stopped doing it. I mentioned I was married. I remember sharing my work with her. This was a red flag too. I shared some of my work and she's like, that doesn't sound like real music. And so if I put myself back then to 2003, 2004, and you think about music, then everything was about instruments and everything. And I even kind of had that similar mentality about music. I didn't believe what I was doing was real music either. But ironically, electronic music just blew up like right around the time I stopped doing it. Such is life, right? So I have a video. So yeah, video started for me. My path in video is kind of like, okay, so I'm hopping around music, then photography. I don't have a lot of my photography on here. Yeah, and for whatever reason, my website, I installed a plugin on my website and it can press the shit out of my images. And for whatever reason, it deleted the original uploads. So a lot of these are very compressed and they don't look that great. And it's really frustrating because I don't even know if I have original copies because a lot of my photography work, I lost a lot of it. I lost a hard drive. I don't remember what year it was, but excuse me. Somewhere in the 2010 area, I lost a hard drive that had a lot of this stuff on here, but a lot more. Like I lost so much work. And I've had a lot of it published online for a long time, and even more than that. But it really sucks because this was like a huge thing for me. Photography kind of took over after music kind of died for me. And soon after that, in 2008, I still pursued photography, but I got into video production when I moved to Jacksonville. And I always had a love for video production. I'm pretty sure I went even further back, but it was just like the access to cameras was not what it is now or even in 2008. So I started doing comedy and just YouTube skits in 2008. I don't know if I have any of it on here. Yeah, this is more recent stuff. I'll go to this website, Upside Down Creative Media, which is what I mentioned earlier. I have a lot of ads on this site. Trying to make money with it. It makes a little bit. Everything I've ever created under Upside Down Creative Media can be found on this. How do I close this? I do have interstitial ads. I have ads on the top. I have ads everywhere. So the content is here. I have some categories here. On the mobile version, I think it comes up as a drop-down menu. But before Upside Down Creative Media, I had something called Tomfoolery Flicks, which I don't have a website for, but there's a YouTube channel for it. Even prior back to that, like before that, I was working with a friend on his stuff on YouTube, and that's kind of where I got into it. But I go back actually to my original website. Yeah. So yeah, video is kind of wide open. Like I've got live streams that I created. I was really proud of this project, TK Live, and we are meeting tomorrow. I'll probably bring you back. This is TK. TK is a Swiss Army knife producer, writer, director, actor, funny man, good friend of mine. He lives in California.
All my family.
He has worked on a lot of stuff over the years, like really, really, really good stuff. And to have him in my life and be able to work with him is like been a huge, I don't tell him enough, but like huge blessing for me, because he recognized I don't really remember our backstory, because I'm pretty sure I was a fan of his and all the people he worked with before me and him started talking. And I don't remember who reached out to who, or how that all worked. We both can't remember because it happened online. So it's like, when you meet somebody in person, it's way different. But this show was a live show that we started in 2021. Let me see if I can actually just go to YouTube. I can control. This is actually hosted on his channel.
Welcome to TK Live. Hey, it's shit. TK. I got a friend with me here. His name's John Smith.
So,
what's up, John? How you doing, bro?
Oh, what's up, man?
That was John Smith.
Yeah.
But this was all done live. Let me see if
You're
I can
on,
show.
bro.
All right.
Increase the quality.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So I believe John was in Nashville or Atlanta. I can't remember. TK was in California and I was in Florida.
It was just gonna be
and we had a guest from California come in. Down here you see the chat. We had a chat going that was tying in Facebook.
I think it was awesome that we got to make up for all those
YouTube
years.
chat.
I know, man.
Twitch
it was crazy
chat.
back in
so
the day
all
when
three
we would
websites chats
when you
came
would
into
hate
there
me?
and showed up on the screen.
I did.
And it was so cool because we did like sketches live, like
Okay.
I changed colors of their video and put music behind them and did all this really weird stuff. Was this the first?
Oh, thank you,
first episode. So what the coolest part was for me looking down at the chat and seeing some of the people that were in there. You've got Blake Anderson of Workaholics in there. We've got Kyle Newacek of Workaholics, Murder Mystery, director of Murder Mystery with Adam Sandler, Game Over Man, which is both Blake Anderson and Kyle Newacek. Really in the show that I'm producing, like part of the show. Like they're watching the show, they're interacting with the show, and I eventually got flowers from them, like maybe that same year on their podcast for this show. Very proud of it. Something that I don't think enough people saw. But TK is just like, he's such a funny guy. Like I don't want to go into their story, but how I think I discovered TK was through Workaholics, because he was on an episode of Workaholics, which I'll pull up. me see if I can find it on here. Workaholics. Dunking Genie. See if they have it on YouTube. Here it is. That's TK on Workaholics. So this is a bootleg version of it. But that's TK. There's Adam Devine and Blake Anderson, who was watching my live stream show. This is a very, obviously, like somebody recorded it with their cell phone. But I knew of TK through that show. And I loved that show. If you followed me on Instagram, you see I went to their show and got to meet him a month ago. I actually hung out with Kyle Newcheck the following day and got to have coffee with him and really like talk shop and everything. So this show was like, to me, a really fun opportunity. And like I said, we're bringing it back. So stay tuned for that.
Welcome to TK Live. Hey, it's TK.
So live streaming is like something
with me here.
I've got down. John. Like obviously, and this was another live stream I did in 20. Let's open it up. See, this is
such a good listener, Thomas. It makes me feel so special.
You are special.
This is that's the fucking trailer. TTFT. Really they are a couple guys here in Jacksonville. Back up, show the stream waiting.
This is your season to
like
smile with new dentures
but TTFT,
during Aspen Dental's anniversary savings event, celebrating 25 years of affordable care
doing
and
so much
20%
content
off
over the
your
years.
custom dentures.
A couple of guys that I know through the filmmaking community in Jacksonville. I produced this. I set up all these scenes, and we did it live. So the way we did this one, I had multiple cameras set up into my laptop, and I was switching through the software OBS. There was a lot of technical difficulties running multiple cameras that way, as you would if you were watching. But this stream went on for 5 hours, over 5 hours, and it was pretty fun. They patched in people through Zoom. We'll skip forward.
3 auditions since I
But,
last spoke to you
there's
guys.
so much content,
Yeah.
and we did it
It's
live for 5 hours.
It's rough out here for a kid.
And it's incredible
5 hours. That gives
that we were able to pull it
60
off.
hours per episode times.
No budget.
Far
I
as
think
I'm
they paid
concerned,
me
and then you got
actually, and
Seeger
thank you
Ross,
for doing that because it's very rare.
I could keep going on and on.
But that I would get paid for this. But yeah, it was really great. I would do things a little differently. We kind of went into this together, not really having a plan. I mean, we tried to pre-produce as much as possible, and it was enough to get through it like smoothly. I like to go back and watch that one. It was my first time really doing a live stream for somebody else. TK Live I did for somebody else, but it was in my home. COVID Night Live was, I think, my first full-on attempt to live stream. Now, prior to COVID Night Live, I had live streamed, but not in the sense like with YouTube. Here we have Thomas Kellogg, TK. He was a guest. We have King Polly. She's a comedian, creator from Las Vegas. Very funny, very, very nice. Just like her energy is like really good. And I wish like I reached out to her more. But we had Andre Highland. We had probably 14, 15 episodes of COVID Night Live. These are just some of my favorite ones. Oh, there's so many of them. This was the first live stream I did in 2020. At that point, we had a couple of situations where we realized like a lot of our content was possibly getting copied by SNL. So we just said, well, let's create a COVID Night Live, and this is what it became. I don't know if I can fast forward so much. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the YouTube page.
It's COVID Night Live.
Yeah, so I produced an intro for it.
With
shot it, produced it, wrote it, everything. Everything was me. Except for the people on the camera. I can't make them.
Marshall Malone. And our guest.
And so we would invite guests on. I think we did it every week for a while. I don't remember if it was weekly. I know we tried to kind of weekly for the stretch that we did it. But it was all done through Zoom again.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to another episode of COVID Night Live.
And we have
where
sections
we interview
here
comedians from all over the world.
We were cutting live to different segments. And doing
Mr.
news
West
stories.
has also
sketches. I have
do you
me
yourself
Satan
watch
here
CNN
being interviewed.
or do
Lucifer.
you watch Fox News?
Oh, this is all switched. This was all done live. This wasn't pre-produced.
Once again,
we did this live.
Makes sense.
I was actually being
all right,
interviewed
Satan,
with a
things are getting
Snapchat
pretty crazy here.
or
I
whatever,
need you to
like,
clarify a big one for
filter
me here.
with fire behind me.
With you
Green
being in
screen, all
control
live.
of Fox News and CNN, do
we
you
would
have
invite guests on. This was
Big deal.
TK's
Let's,
debut on our show, and it was so much fun because we did so many little stupid spoofs and like created this fake conflict with each other.
That's the real only part of
it was
the movie
really the
that
first
is,
time
like,
I got to sit down with TK
that was
and
really
talk to
scripted
him.
and
There was a part that we were dead. He's crying right now. He's crying. So we had booked the show as him being our first live musical guest, and he was supposed to come on and sing, and there were technical difficulties that we planned into the show, and we got into a fight. I think you'll hear it.
Billing this as
I played it off like we'll be right back, and usually when you throw up a "we'll be right back" screen, it mutes the mics. But I set up the scene to where the mics were not muted, so you could hear us fighting. And then we rushed into what's called Ross Thoughts.
Hello,
which was
everyone,
very awkward
welcome
comedy.
back to
It was
this
just
week's-
I miss doing these shows because they were a lot of fun. But this was all done, like I said, live stream, and so live streams are something I can do by myself. Television content, a lot of content here, just ridiculous amounts that I've done for the station I work at, and the last station I worked at. It's a smaller category. I did some live shots that I really am proud of. This was the the first live stream show that I produced in 2018 or 2019. Courtney Cole and Abby Murphy, both amazing women. Abby is working in Atlanta on The Burt Show. Courtney is now working in Boston. Don't know what station, but she's a anchor reporter. And they were so good at what they did. I got to do several of these. I think we did it weekly for the 2 years that I was there. So there's a lot of stuff out there that I don't even like share. I don't even know if it's even on their Facebook page anymore. This is a Hyundai Hometown Heroes, something I'm actually working on right now for this year. I have 11 days now, 10 days to edit and produce and write and shoot everything for an entire special. Don't know. I've got to get it done, so it's going to get done. There's some packages I've done over the years, but quite a bit of television content, social media. It goes way back. My first social, I'll just load it up. So this is a lot of the more recent stuff.
Money can't
we
buy
lost.
you happiness,
We don't actually have this
but it
account
can buy you
anymore,
a
but I was
surfboard.
doing
It's
social
time to vote for
content
Jack's Best. Just
that
go to
I don't think anybody else was doing. Like, this is vertical, like, you know, well produced, well shot. Didn't put captions on it, but did this one,
Richard, one final
which was
thing.
basically
We're
just
wrapping up the
an
Grande.
attempt to try to. I was trying something
Richard's
different.
ratings.
I don't know why I did it this way. It was basically saying, "Hey, this is what the green screen
The Richter
does," you know,
scale.
and put some clouds behind it. So that was cool. It was different. Never
These
seen anything like it.
continue to go. You know who has great ideas?
When you work in
Our
a
insiders.
corporate setting, they want to just do what other people are doing because they see, oh, this works, so let's just do this. I like to do that. Obviously, it's smart to do that, but sometimes I like to experiment, and so that's where a lot of my
John,
ideas
what are you
come
gonna
from.
do when you're
I
gone?
throw things in.
That's none of your business.
It just looks different, and to me, that is going to be more valuable than something that looks consistent. Maybe not. I don't know. A lot of the ways that people do the web.
All right, so this is not very traditional, but I grew up in Miami. I'm Cuban American. I love platanitos maduros.
She was
They're
one of my
sweet
favorite
plantains. If
reporters
you've
to
never
work
had
with.
them, I recommend them.
amazing,
Beyonce's
nice person,
first performance, her first appearance
and
in
very
the Super Bowl.
helpful.
That performance,
her and Amber,
epic.
Priska,
Oh my gosh, I got up out of my couch, started dancing.
but really, all the
it was
people
awesome.
I worked with were awesome. But
I am rooting
like
for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
but yeah, social content, social ads, which very difficult to create a social ad when we're not really running social ads. But this was something I created 4 years ago for News for Jax Plus.
about News for Jax Plus.
This was another attempt to try to be different and not do things like the consultants say, just trying to put things out there in a way that people may have not seen before. Taking the grid approach and using assets that I just had to create something and not change up the original promo too much. So it's still nice to view on your phone, but it all kind of ties together. So never got really much feedback on that stuff. I was doing it for a while.
You feel so helpless.
That was like I basically the thing in the middle was the broadcast version of the promo that I cut.
Thousands of
and then I would take that and then wrap graphics around it. This was
Hey everybody, Marshall Malone here. I thought I'd make a quick short to share a little behind the scenes action at work. The video on the bottom is obviously me, and the video on the top is what the camera sees. This is actually one of the many Steadicam rigs that we use. It's the Sony A7S Mark IV mounted on a DJI Ronin S2.
The glory days when I worked on River City Live, which was basically like.
Anyways, hope you enjoyed this
year still. I think I did that this year. And then this is for the Image Awards last year.
And Mr. Favorite voice, I'll be a bad boy. Excuse me, I'm used to being in police foods. That was a long walk. I feel like I ain't got to go to church tomorrow.
Yeah. And then this was an idea that I had.
I like for the table to be full, a full spread for the Super Bowls. We're talking potato salad, we're talking nachos.
As far as I know, I was the first producer in the Jacksonville area to think we should mic our talent on our social videos. So this was at Action. I was miking them up and putting them on, like plugging the mic into my camera. And I remember when I told Action, the leadership about this, they're like, you can do that? I was like, yeah, I've been doing it for years. So we would do these. We did this little series called "What's Happening Now," which was my attempt it's funny because a lot of the research that we hear about comes from my ideas from another station, and I remember when I showed this to consultants, they were like, "Can we take your stuff and share it?" You know, they had never seen this, or it was almost like they were coming in to teach us that this is what you're supposed to be doing, and I was already doing it. So.
The pitch meeting, and I'm actually
this was basically trying to get the reporters to think about, okay, so they're back then it was the majority of the thought was, what are we going to broadcast at 5 p.m., 6 p.m.? They were focused on producing to that time. And so I said, okay, since news viewers have to wait around because we're still stuck on this whole wait till 5 to find out mentality, what can we do on content to keep people engaged throughout the day so that when it comes time to watch the content that we want them to watch, they're fully invested. So I wanted to pull a veil back with the reporters and have them talk. And now this whole walk and talk,
side of town.
it wasn't really what I wanted. It was just because TV people were helping me. They were like, well, you can just shoot her. And I wanted her to just be on her phone like this, talking to the phone, selfie style. But so you can kind of see this kind of like we're still doing it like TV because we think it's better. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this. But I do know that it was kind of like it was very hard to explain some of my thoughts there. These are just little story snippets that I did. And then even further back when I worked at a rehab, I was doing so much for them. I was doing SEO, social media, up until the time they hired a social media person, helping out with email. I was helping out with, I said social SEO. My title was senior or maybe SEO strategist. I don't remember if it was senior or not. But then they found out I did everything else. And so they would have me produce all of the lectures, the podcasts, like I was shooting video, everything. So yeah, that was what these were.
My name's Matt Ward. I'm from Syracuse, New York. So upstate, but I've lived in Florida for about 12 years now.
Stories of recovery. I actually did the logo, did all the graphics, everything was all me.
I couldn't tell the truth at all.
So it was a pretty good story about this guy's life. No lighting. We did this without lighting. I just placed him in the best place I possibly could, opened up the aperture of my 50 millimeter lens to, I believe I did 1.4, maybe 2.0. You can kind of tell he's a little soft if you blow it up. But for social content, it was really great for the time. I think that was 2016 or 2017. This was a trailer. I will never forget this because this was one of the first projects I worked on in action where I realized I was walking into a television station and trying to get into working into television, and the process to get this idea that I had, it was hard to, yeah.
Jacksonville. It's filled with amazing people doing amazing things.
This is a trailer for their YouTube channel.
Creating amazing moments. Inspiring. Empowering.
One of the problems when I worked there was I did not know how to get video. I'd see stuff and be like, that's really great. We should use this, show people this. You know?
You really get to see the power of America's
some of the cool stuff that we were doing.
You with the management? Why
And I didn't know how to get the video. And so it was, I remember working like this so bad. Trying to get video was like, nobody showed me how to do it. And it was an environment where if you didn't know how to do it, then you weren't good at your job. They didn't take into account that I never worked in television.
We can't wait to share them with you.
But yeah, this was one of the lectures I was talking about. I used to do all these lectures. Oh my gosh, they just go on for long, so long.
Comes down to
what's up, Vanessa?
Money,
I see.
right? So there are no.
Here. Hello.
There's no money in.
I've totally ignored Instagram.
Or
I feel bad.
From a pharmacological standpoint, a medication that's been around.
I don't know if anybody's in there.
I
I don't have a way to see the chat for Instagram. So
the LDN
on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch, I can see like
a
chat
nonprofit
for
organization
Twitch
that's global,
and YouTube.
has
Nobody's
essentially
chatting,
been
but thanks for stopping by, guys.
Patients.
I can't sleep,
with their
so
experiences and physicians
talking
who
about
can
my
prescribe this,
career.
And we'll talk about
exciting
how
content.
As
Fanatics,
essentially
my first
getting
social
the
video
word
ever.
out there
Really
as something that,
I need to look back
from a
on that.
risk-benefit ratio, is pretty significantly stacked towards a beneficial standpoint. I mean, you're using an
This was
FDA-approved
inside
medication at
this is where the
significantly
copywriters
lower
work.
doses,
Copywriters
therefore less
and
side
there's Matt
effects,
Fink.
Yet you're kind of
skateboarder.
employing your own body's
The idea I came up
immune
with
and
was
other related systems as a way
they needed
to kind of fight
something
back.
for.
So homeopathy
this was 2012,
is different,
2013.
right? So
What year was
that's
that, actually?
then we're
I don't
going
know.
to microscopic dilution
they needed,
of these
I feel like I'm playing
compounds,
something,
and which is a whole field in and of its own. But this is completely different because even if it's a low
There's
dose,
something playing,
the response that
here
it
audio.
gets is.
Let me mute it. They needed something to promote NASCAR, Daytona 500. So we just threw on a bunch of racer gear and made it look like they were racing against it. It's kind of funny when you look at it now because they're sitting so close to each other. Why is it playing? Oh, watch again on Instagram. Okay. So you can only watch it once. You can see them like literally right next to each other. But it was just a fun way to lift the veil because I was lifting the veil over like 9, 10 years ago. But anyways, yeah. So social media content, lots of experience doing that. I think I went through television already. SEO, nothing fun to see in here. SEO was my life for a very long time. This is just a lot of copy talking about some of the stuff that I've done, case studies, some of the things I've done in terms of growth and showing how I know how to make traffic like grow up. Anyways, so yeah, and then a YouTube archive, which is humongous. I'll go to it, but it shows a lot of my son's content. I let him publish content on a different channel, but it kind of pulls it into here. It's called the Leviverse, but he creates his own animations and all kinds of stuff. I need to kind of filter that out of my website, but here you can find pretty much everything I've ever done on YouTube. It's broken down into categories on my website, social media ads, stuff I've already showed you, but it's just on YouTube as well. Another live stream. Dad Does Video Games. I started this one in the pandemic too. And I was basically just setting up games to play with my kids at the same time we were streaming, talking. It was a lot of fun. We don't do it anymore. They've kind of grown out of wanting to do that. They are little content creators themselves, and they have their own channels to manage. So it's on them. It's on me, really. So I think I've gone through everything. I'm tired. I think I'm finally going to go to sleep. But I just wanted to, start putting some more stuff out there because I don't think I'm sharing enough what I've been working on, and I need to figure out how to like promote my work better, so I can start working more, and get back to being independent and not working for a company. Not that there's anything wrong with working with a company, but there's just a lot of red tape, and I'm tired of cutting through it. I want to get back on my own and freelance again. So if you need let me go to my little drop down menu. If you need a podcast, if you need a video, if you need some photography done, I don't know if I'm going to go back into web design anymore. I feel like it's been too long. And you could probably find somebody much better than me. But really, if you need I'm really trying to push podcasts. I really want to start helping people make good podcasts. Video work is always something I'm up for. Photography, maybe. There's so many fucking photographers. It's like pointless for me to try to get photography work. But really focusing on podcasts and video in the form of live streaming, social content, like pretty much anything around video, but really podcasts and live streams. I do have like a meeting today about a live stream that I'm going to bring back that I mentioned earlier, TK Live. I'll be hopefully doing that soon and really ramping up in January. But in January, I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands, and I really want to start creating some great stuff. I did show some of the podcasts. Let me pull up one real quick. I'm so confused about how I've got this organized. Let's see, comedy. No. Here's the Los Rotos podcast. Where does this take me? Oh, okay. It takes me to the Upside Down Creative Media. So this was my favorite podcast I ever did. I would love to bring it back. It was a lot of work. We didn't do that many episodes, like 13 episodes. And they were just, it was my first time meeting a lot of these comics, actually all of them. So each episode I got to meet these comics through Vanessa, who I've known for a long time. Vanessa was just in here watching. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Podcast with Vanessa Scaduto. Produced by Upside Down Creative Media.
This was a really fun thing to do. Blow it up.
Welcome.
Oh.
Welcome back to Los Rotos, guys.
Hello.
It's your host, Vanessa, and I'm here today with Mikey B. Do you want me to say Belalis?
Like that's I don't care.
Mikey Belalis. I mean, it's
got,
just no
Well, if you're gonna say it, don't mispronounce
it.
And those mics were horrible because now I've got new mics that you actually talk out of the top.
It's basically an extra
much better, and more people. A lot of people would get those mics.
I was just saying it the Southern way because that's all I hear people say. But I knew
the pickup was in the front of the mic, so people would talk on top of the mic, thinking that's how you're supposed to do it. So if I do bring Los Rotos back, I've got better mics
like a Southern gentleman. He was a good old boy.
These sounded okay, but it was just I look at it now, I'm like,
wow,
it's
really like a surgeon. Like, so
but these were
February,
good.
January,
So if you like
And
comedy,
then I forgot to ask you. I don't
and you
know if
want to
there's.
watch some comedy people talk, if we went back and did it, I wouldn't do it on that set piece anymore. I would do it on the white cyc wall and keep it simple. Maybe throw some accent lighting in there. But yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna hop off. So this is my self promotion. TK Live. I'm meeting about that today, so we'll be bringing that back. Falling Together, the documentary with Rob. We're kind of working on it. He literally just came into my life like 3 weeks ago after not talking for 3 years. But that's being worked on at some point. We're gonna get it done. So that's coming next year sometime. And Los Rotos podcast. Did I say that was coming back? I don't know if that's coming back. I like for it to come back. But yeah, lots of stuff coming out, and I'm gonna keep pushing for more. If you want to work with me, hit me up in my DMs. And if you want to learn how to do live streams on, like I'm live streaming to Instagram, but also to YouTube and a lot of other places, let me know. I'll help you get set up. No charge. I'll just do it. Whatever. Give it away. You know, nobody's going to remember anything I'm doing in 100 years. Nobody's going to remember me in 100 years. So really, this whole live stream has been a waste of time. But with that in mind, because of that, I'm not going to withhold information. If you want to learn how to do any of the stuff that I do, just let me know. I'll help you. Anyways, I'm getting off. That sounded bad, but I'm signing off. All right. I'm going to try to go to sleep. All right. Bye.